and welcome to another episode of The Buzz Around Bees. So earlier in the year, our first show was showing how to install the package of bees into the hives. We did that on 5 hives here, and subsequent shows were going in and inspecting the hives to make sure that the queen was okay and to make sure that the actual bees were okay. In fact, during those shows, we found that one of the hives didn't have a queen at all, and one of the hives actually had made a new queen. So we went back in and we found the new queen and actually marked her. Glenn Cornell so eloquently did that, and we also replaced one of the queens. So today what we're going to do, it's a little bit later in the year, we're going to show you how to take the frames that now have a lot of honey on them out of the hives, and then we're going to extract the honey. And today I have with me a longtime friend of mine, also a longtime member of the Plymouth County Beekeepers Association, gentleman from Whitman, Mr. Bill Veazie. Welcome, Bill.
Hey,
good to see you.
Hi, I'm Bill Veazie. I first met Richard back in T-ball days, but I'm here to give him a hand on taking some late honey off of the hives. You'll notice too that where it is late in the season, the bees will be a little more aggressive than normally because they don't really want to lose that food for the winter. They have plenty of food in there in their own, what do you call them?
In the supers,
in the
deeps.
In the deeps, so they don't really need this honey, and we need this honey for our own consumption. Thank you.
So what you're going to see is that we're taking the top supers off of the hives, and the bottoms are a little bit bigger, and those are called the deeps. We're going to leave that honey in there for the winter, and hopefully that's what the bees eat during the winter, and hopefully that the hives will overwinter, but we can talk about that at a later date. So now let's change and go into these hives and hope that the bees aren't all that aggressive. So here we are, we're going to open the hive in a second. Before we do that, Bill, could you explain what that is and how you actually got such good smoke? It's called the smoker, but Bill's going to explain what's in there.
All right, yeah, this helps calm the bees down a little, and you smoke them before you enter the hive. And what I use I use burlap. I get it, they use it in pipe fittings and so forth, and they throw it out, and I ask people that they save that for me, and I just use a small piece of that, get it going. Then I add some wood pellets on top of it. From people that have a wood pellet stove, you just need a little teeny bit, drop it in the and the smoke lasts quite a while with this.
So we're going to smoke the hive.
Yeah. Okay, now smoking back here. And
take off the top cover.
Oh, look at it. Remember we said this is late, this is in October now. They're a little reluctant to leave their honey alone. All right.
So Bill, explain what we're going to do now.
In here we have some honey that's covered, and also we have some frames that haven't had any honey at all. We're going to pull one of these out first just to show you the difference. If you notice, the bees are starting to build comb out. Here's the original. Here's some comb on here, but they haven't filled nothing in yet. But we will remove this for the winter now, anyways. Hey, remember how easy they came off the other day, Rich? There you go.
Can I see the brush from it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you brush them gently to get the last few off. We shake them, and then we just gently brush these off and get them back in the hive where they belong.
Notice they are going down, so they're not as top as they were. All right.
Our goal is to take these frames out, but to make sure that the bees stay here. Now you can see.
See, Now here's a hive, here's a comb that's just been drawn out on this side. If you notice, all these combs are at a slight angle. That way the honey doesn't drip out. It's all on an angle. And you can see here's a side that's beginning to be capped off honey.
Again, these guys really don't want to be giving this up.
No.
And there's not really any honey in these.
You notice this one here, we have capped honey on both sides. Over here and also in here. There you go, Richard.
That's the capped honey.
And there's a bee in there too.
Yeah, we're trying to get these guys out of here. Whoops, sorry. And it's capped on this side as well. And they don't really want to be leaving.
If there was brood in here, they wouldn't leave at all. They would really have trouble getting them out. Okay, this is all you got to do. That's it.
All right. And again, we're taking them off. It's kind of later in the year. Now, the bottom two boxes on this, called the deeps, are completely full of honey.
All right.
There's some bees in here.
Yeah, we can take that other
Yeah, we'll
one
take them
off.
out. So
Take the whole thing off now.
these bottom two are completely full of honey. So we're gonna go to the next hive.
You can take.
All right. So we'll take this off. Whoop. You want to pull one of these to show?
Yeah. Here's your honey and your brood. We'll pull one in the middle here. This would be. Oh, Rich, I need the yellow one. I got to separate these out a little.
Okay.
I need that. Oh. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we'll just slide a few down and.
Yeah. Here's the one. I want to pull this one here.
Okay. Let me take this and I'll hold it over the hive.
Yeah.
So this is what it really should look like. That is jam-packed full of honey. But we're leaving this in the hive for the winter so the bees will have something to eat. Pull that one up. No, that's all right. We'll just leave that one in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So let's put that back.
Okay. Oh. I just get this even. So
Yep. Give them their bee space.
yeah.
All right. So we're going to put the top cover back on.
Now, you'll notice we also put the gap, the air gap up top right now, because later on we'll be having a bonded feeder and so forth go through to help feed in through the winter time.
All right. So we're going to put the top cover back on. Put this back on, and we're going to move to another hive.
Yeah.
So we're moving to a different hive, and again we're going to smoke it. We're going to take off the top cover, and then we're going to see what we have for honey in here. Hopefully the honey production in this hive is a little bit better than the last one. And then we're going to open up another hive to show you the brood and the deeps on that hive. So Bill, let's see what we got here.
Right.
Bill's going to smoke them, and we're going to take off this cover.
Yeah. This is this particular. We know we don't have much in here.
Right.
This was a late.
Right. We added this one late, so we're just going to take this whole thing off, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to move down to the next.
Okay. You can feel the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. This one actually has a beetle trap in it. I don't know if you remember in one of our last episodes, we actually put the beetle trap in there to try to keep the beetles from infecting the hive, so to speak. So we're gonna pull one of these frames. Bill, this one has a beetle trap in it.
Yeah. We can even look and see if there's any.
Yeah, see if there's any in there. And there are some beetles in there, and there's also some honey in there.
Yeah. If you notice, look at that. See the there's the beetles that are trapped in here. Although if these weren't trapped, what they'll do is you'll have a sweet smell coming out of your hive, and what it will be is the beetles are getting in, and they're actually eating the honey and the wax. They just make a complete mess of the hive. This is what this does. There's a little bit of
Oil.
vegetable oil in here, and the bees will chase them around, and they'll go in here trying to get away and to hide, and they drown in this right in here.
Yeah, we put that in one of the last episodes.
Okay.
So
And
obviously
this
it
one
works.
here you can reuse it too,
Right.
so it's nice.
Yeah. So obviously it works.
Okay.
You can see how full.
Yeah, look at here.
Yeah.
See, we can take these other ones off if you want.
Well, let's start down here, Bill.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's start down this end.
These ones got honey in them.
Right. Let's take
Okay.
those off first.
Yeah, you can feel it. Look at the difference in the weight.
Now see that?
Look at that. There's a good. And you can see the next one right in here, right after it. The same thing. Lay that in here, Richard.
All right. So we're going to try to shake those down.
Just kind of flick them.
All right. We're going to put these in here. This is the honey that we're going to, and we're putting them in there and covering it so we're trying to keep the bees out of there. And what we're going to do is these are the frames that we will do the extraction from later on. So we're pulling the honey frames out, putting them in here, and we'll do the extraction later.
If you look down, here's the next one. Look at
Again, that's what you want to see.
Both sides. I think there's more than when we inspected it the other day, Rich.
Yeah.
See, oh, look at that. Look at the honey coming right down. All right, here you go.
Yeah, we inspected the hives a couple of weeks ago.
You can see how that one.
And again, try to get these bees off of here and get them in here. The goal of not getting that many bees in there.
Oh, okay. Well, another reason why that was stuck a little, if you look how they've drawn the cone down and right to the bottom of the other, to the brood chamber and the food storage chambers. It makes it sometimes hard to pull it out. That's beautiful. You got more than you think, Rich, now.
And there's a lot of weight to those. I mean, they weigh, there's a substantial amount of weight when they're full of honey like that.
You got any empty ones in there?
We have a yellow jacket. Yeah. Yep, we have room for more.
Okay.
So this is what you would like to see.
Yeah, this is very good.
On all of them.
And once again, if you look down inside, you can see how the cone's extended right onto the other frames. And this is that's why you have to pry them out and so forth. Makes it difficult to get them out.
See, when we extract this honey, you'll see how we do it. But that is pure honey right there. And it goes from this hive right into the bottle.
There you go. How are we doing that side? Doesn't feel as much full. Yep. All right. What I'm going to do I'm going to remove this honey super now and take it away and put the top cover back on. I think.
You have that, Bill? I got the.
If you look, here's another. Okay, I'll wait a minute. Here's another beetle trap right here. What we'll do is we'll put our top cover on. Just to make it get on tight, I'll remove this extra wax.
I have a bucket.
I have a solar wax melter at home that I can melt that wax down to make candles and so forth. Okay, there we go. All right, you got the top cover, Rich?
Now, these are also full of honey. And again, we're going to leave these on here for the winter and give the bees something to eat. We're also going to put what they call fondant, which is sugar water.
Which is sugar, and it's almost like
it's like a paste.
A paste.
So that will go on top of this, and we can show you how we do that later. And that's on top of the honey. That's what the bees will eat
during the winter. You got the top cover? There you go. So again, always you want to make the vent line out the back here, so the air is flowing up through the hive, out through here, out here.
So we've now moved over to another hive, and we're going to open this one, and Bill's going to tell us what we're going to do here today.
All right. This hive here did not have enough honey on it, so we removed the supers a few weeks ago. We're going to go in right now. I just want to make sure there's enough honey for food, and I want to check and see how the brood's doing.
So once again, we're going to smoke them. They're a little bit aggressive, but not as bad as I thought they'd be.
Once again, this is all full of honey. We can show you.
Oh, the frame is actually coming apart.
Let's pull that one off.
All right.
Yeah. We'll also probably should put a sugar water tray on top of this one for now, before it gets too cold and freezes. And then we can put the fondant on later. Yeah, this hive here, if you look, it's not as much. If you saw in the other hives how much more honey there was. What I recommend here is where we should be adding sugar water and let them feed the sugar water and fill these up. You can see these cones are starting to be filled up, but that's what we'll have to do. Have them put the sugar water tray on this one, definitely. Yeah, look at that, see?
So
these should be all full.
this is the hive that we had a problem with the queen early on.
Yeah, see, and here now, this one's heavy, heavy.
Hold on, Bill.
Full.
Show that to the camera, that they're filling it up.
Yeah, this one's full.
So we'll pull, let's just pull one more.
Mm-hmm.
And the brood?
No brood in
No
here.
brood.
It's all honey storage. What we're going to do is we're going to go down to the next one to ensure that there's brood. And she's laying. And I think, remember what this was? It was. Okay, put that one in there.
Putting it back in the same spot that it was in.
Mm-hmm. Now what we can do is put the cover down here.
So we're gonna take this deep off. Leave the honey that's there, obviously, for these bees to have during the winter, but we're going to check the bottom one to make sure that we have brood. Otherwise, we have a problem.
This hive is a little bit behind, so like I said, the sugar water will help feed it, build up its supplies for the winter. And then once it gets colder, we'll be using the fondant also.
But what's really a problem is when you have a bee suit on and you have an itchy nose and you also have gloves on. That creates a problem.
Yeah, okay. And we want it, now on these sides, we're down the brood chamber and so forth. We also want to make extreme caution and make sure we don't touch the queen or roll, what they call rolling the queen. What would happen is if you pull it out and the queen was in there too tight, you could roll her up where she's bigger and kill her. I'm going to take a look right here. Still honey.
No brood though.
Oh, I think it's going to be in this one. Okay.
Yeah, there's
All right,
brood.
here's some brood
Here's
here.
brood. Right.
If you look here, see the difference how dark it is? And you can see, even if you look real close, you can see a pupa that has not been covered yet. There's some more eggs. There's little white spots in here. If you can see that. Can you see that with the camera? That little white. Once they develop a little bit more, these bees will cap that. On the other side, you'll see that here, there's more brood right here. And in fact, here's the queen, right there. See the yellow dot?
Oh, geez, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So we know the queen is there, and we know
Yeah.
that she's laying eggs.
See
This
that?
is the one that was a very late starter.
And isn't this the one that's, this is also hygienic?
Hygienic, that's
Yes.
correct.
So, which means that they help search mites out. So it's a good sign she's doing her work. You can see, once again, there's plenty of larvae.
Let's put it back in.
So what I would definitely do is make sure we get the sugar water on top of this one today.
Yep.
Okay.
And the sugar water is it's a whole bunch of sugar and a little bit of water, and I have a tray that we're going to put on there, and we'll start feeding these things to make sure that it is successful. But again, this was a late hive.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's good.
But it's great that we opened it. We found the queen by accident.
And the marking. So.
Well, it's just not an accident with an old pro like you.
Oh. I can't say it. That kind of, you know what kind of luck we're talking about. We'll get you anywhere.
And we're going to put this deep back on.
Oh.
To be very careful we don't damage any of the bees.
You notice these hygienic queens also, they're very, very mild-mannered bees. See how nice they were compared to the other ones that.
So later today, I'll make some sugar water up, and I'll put it into the top feeder, fill it with sugar, put it on here, and leave it for a while until it gets cold. That gives the bees some food. And then later when it gets colder, we'll take the sugar water off, we'll put the fondant so there won't be a freezing issue. In closing, Bill, is there anything that you want to talk about?
Well, the big thing is, your pesticides and so forth. They've been doing an awful job on the bees. Be careful, be responsible. If you got to spray your vegetables, do it at dusk when the bees are back in the hives, and the pesticide will dry overnight. Clover's green, it's beautiful, and the bees love it too. And it doesn't hurt your lawn. It's got a legume and makes nitrogen for your lawn.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for joining us in another episode of The Buzz Around Bees. I hope that you found today's episode not only interesting, but maybe educational as well. We covered a lot of territory. We showed you how to take the hives apart and take the frames out of the hives, which we're going to do in another episode, is extract the honey from them. We checked the brood in another hive and actually found the queen, which was really interesting. And we talked about top feeder, and this is what a top feeder is. And it's designed that literally goes on top of the hive, and you fill this with sugar water so the bee can climb up from underneath, and he can drink the water without drowning. These are really, really, really good, and this afternoon we'll be putting these on the hives. I do want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Bill Veazie for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Bill, you were great, and again, a longtime Whitman resident as well as a member of the Plymouth County Beekeepers Association, and we will be back soon to extract the honey from the hives. Again, thank you.